turned away, and that'll end the period. So it'll be 1-1 going into the third. Should be a really exciting third period for sure. And I also thought I'd give a little update on the baseball. It's still 6-2. Now it's the bottom of the sixth inning in that game. And so hopefully the Nats find a way to come back. And then the last thing, I'll give a scoring update real quick on the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Miami Heat that we talked about in the first hour. Miami has taken a 2-point lead. There's 9:34 left in the fourth quarter. So I'm going to keep that on in the background. I'll give a scoring update once Carol is done with the football talk on that very close basketball game. Again, 92-90. Miami is up with 9:26 left in the fourth quarter in that. Carol, do you still need me to talk more? Or are you up?
Give me about another 20 seconds, Robbie.
All
Give me
right,
a
sounds good.
touchdown
All
drive.
right, that's fine. I'll break down the next scoring play for the Milwaukee Bucks. They're on the offensive side right now, and they're dribbling from the three-point line, trying to take it down low, a turnaround, sort of an up and under shot. And did they say there's an extension? Yeah, I think there was maybe a push-off, and that was on Antetokounmpo. And so Miami has the ball. They're up 2, 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Starting at sort of the center, it's a drive down the lane, a kick out for three. Nope, they close out quickly. And they're calling it an offensive foul on Miami now. Yeah, so it's interesting. 2 offensive fouls in a row. Oh, I think. Oh, interesting. Oh, he stepped on the out of bounds line, I think.
All right, Robbie, we good to go, ready to rock and roll with some.
Okay, sounds good. Well, we'll take it away from the football talk.
Yeah, we've had a couple of things going on in the NFL this past week. Just thought I'd give some quick notes with the football season being less than 2 weeks away. Final cuts will be coming, I believe, next week. Actually, having a fantasy football drive on Hurts House Invitational next Sunday. So I got to get my football fantasy skills together. So I got to start doing some research because they don't play in that league. So it's going to be interesting with the NFL season. We spoke about it previously with the COVID situation, and we've seen what happens in baseball and with the traveling aspect, and folks getting infected on the road and other situations. That's one thing I'm more concerned about with the NFL, with them still, pretty much doing things the same way with the travel and schedule, conference wise, and all of that stuff. It was I'm hoping they complete the whole season, but right now, in my opinion, fingers are just crossed for the whole season.
Carol, can I ask you a quick question? Are all
Sure.
the teams not having fans? I know that some have announced. I don't know if all have announced yet. Some I thought might
Some
have
are,
some.
from what I heard, the Cowboys are going to be at 40 to 50% capacity. The NFL gave the choice up to the owners, depending on the state that they're in and the guidelines that they have. And I heard that talking to one of my Cowboys fans, that's a friend, he said that Jerry Jones said that they would do probably between 40 and 50% of the stadium. And I think there was a couple of other teams that were mulling over their idea of doing between 12 and maybe 14,000 folks, just so they can try to keep.
But
The
how do
social
you get
distance.
6 feet away? I just don't understand fundamentally.
I mean, folks have to be responsible, I guess, and just have to, because they're not going to be sold out, so every seat isn't going to be full. So folks just have to
But
probably going to have, just like they do in the store, have designated seats every 6 away, and folks supposed to sit in them. Hopefully, if they don't, they might put them out. That's what I'm hoping that they do. But as of right now, I haven't heard any of the plans.
because it's
for the
crazy
city.
because you have to know how many people are in a family and then have a certain number of seats between those, right? So if we have a group of 5, let's say, and then someone else is a group of 2, but they've got to be a certain number of seats away.
Yeah, it's
Like
the same
to
for
figure the
everybody.
logistics of that seems like a nightmare. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
but that's what they get paid to do. I mean, they didn't had all this time off. They got to use their brain if they want to get some revenue. They're going to find a way to get some money out of this. So he probably put a team on it. Got some mathematical firm to add up all the seats and do 6 feet distancing and how much and this and that. So if there's a will with the capitalism and the way money is in this country, if there's a will, there's a way. They're going to find a way to get some money coming in, because that's why I mentioned it's with the owners actually giving up preseason, knowing that those are the games that they get to keep all the revenue. To me, that meant a lot going toward the player safety. But then you're going to have some owners that's going to want to make money. That's not in a big market. It's not that can't basically afford to take that loss of losing a whole football season with no concessions, no seat sales, no
But
parking sales, and all of that.
so it's crazy to me, and that makes total sense. But like, so some teams are going to have a much better home field advantage than others, right? I mean, the Washington football team, I almost said it, the Washington football team, um, the is not going to have anybody, right? But Dallas is going to have people there, so it's going to be interesting to see will road team like will Washington football fans go to the games because they can't go to their home games? Will we see them in some of the other stadiums? Will we not? Is it going to be all the road fans? How are they going to if they can only sell half the tickets, are they going to try
I think
harder
it's
to
going
make
to
sure
be
that they
all
go to the home
season.
fans?
I think it's all season ticket holders. So that's a key point. I didn't even think about that, the home field advantage, because we know what they've been doing with baseball, just piping in the crowd noise from the video, which is cool from the video games. I love the fact that they're using the video games to pipe in the crowd noise for the games, because when the home run is hit, you can hear the crowd get into it like they're really there. So that's cool. So yeah, I think that's an aspect I didn't even think about with some teams doing it and some teams. That's why I feel like it should have been a general, no
I
fans, whatever. But when you got these owners that got to pay these salaries to these players, and this is a big chunk. Like, we have a billionaire owner that has money coming in from different streams, but all NFL owners aren't built like that. So some of them are going to probably find a way to try to recoup some of that revenue they're losing because they can't afford to have to pay the player salaries and taxes on their second and third homes and such. So they're going to find a way to get some money in their pocket so they don't
and I
totally
wonder
lose
if
all
people
this.
who have these season ticket holders that often would resell to some fans of the opposite team. I wonder if there's so few games and such a little ability to be able to go to games if they hoard it and you don't see as much as the opposing team fans in the building. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out as well. But
Yeah.
it's so interesting that they could be so different. I do have to say I love the NBA zooming fans in there and like having people actually be able to wave and like be interactive and react when that stuff.
Well,
But
the
it's
NBA is
funny,
way more fan friendly than the NFL.
right? But so what's funny, and we didn't get to this with DC People's Champ, but I wanted to. We just ran out of time. But in wrestling, they tried to do the same thing. But wrestling fans, will take an opportunity to show nudity or craziness or just, you can put anything up on Zoom in that moment, right? So like, it's hard to control. So like, they had
Yeah.
some, not so good imagery.
Oh,
I
for
mean,
real?
yeah, it was a problem.
I
So
didn't know
like,
about that.
the NBA has done it, and those fans have taken it seriously, and there hasn't been an issue yet that I know of. But I heard that wrestling it wasn't quite the same way, so I
They
just
might
thought I'd
make
put
them
that
sign a
out there.
contract or something like you can't do anything crazy. We're going to sue you.
I'm sure they tried, but it's Zoom. It's what are
Yeah,
they gonna
that's
do? It's
that's
live.
that's interesting. Yeah, I remember you guys mentioned that about the NBA doing that with bringing fans in, which is cool. They're trying. That's like I said, the NBA is one of the more fan friendly leagues out there. They love the crowd participation and the fans to get involved. They have all the interactive events at All Star and all of that. I've been to a couple of the All Star events, so yeah, it's definitely they're going to find a way to keep the fans interested because their league is truly fan driven, especially merchandise wise with all the stuff that they're selling now. But let's go ahead and get into this quick NFL Washington football team news. Just what's been going on lately. Uh, Jacksonville waived Louis Fournette after 3 years with the team. If you recall, last year he had a contract dispute. I'm not sure if that was still ongoing, but they said they couldn't get anything for him, so they just went ahead and waived him. And no, the Washington football team will not be bringing him in. I know some fans is probably already talking about, oh, what we can do. AP's old, and we don't know what Gibson and Geis has done. Look, don't do it. Everybody that gets cut doesn't belong on the Washington football team roster. So cut it out before y'all even start. The Jags also traded Yannick. I'm gonna try to pronounce his last name, Robbie. In Goke. I know I probably got it wrong, but they traded him to the Vikings. He's been having some contract issues for the last 2 seasons, and I believe they tried to franchise him, and I believe he said pretty much he wanted out of town. Derwin James of the LA Chargers, it used to be San Diego Chargers, he will be out for a while. He tore his meniscus on Saturday. He's one of the up and coming young safeties. I haven't had a chance to check out the tape on him, but I saw his name come up, so I did a little research. He's one of the up and coming young safeties out here in the league. He had a meniscus tear in practice on Saturday. Said he's going to miss a big chunk of the season. Oakland, they just released Prince of Makamura, ex-Giant, and a couple of other teams I can't even remember. He got released out in Oakland today. Once again, Carson Wentz suffered a soft tissue injury in practice. It's supposed to be minor, no big deal. The Eagles are having some real injury issues. We've been used to that here in the district for a while. They just lost one of their offensive linemen to ACL. He's gone for the season. They're actually bringing in Jason Peters. Actually re-signed. Was supposed to be playing right tackle. Now he's actually talking about if he has to play left tackle. That was their new incumbent at left tackle. I can't even read can't even read my own handwriting right now. I was writing these notes in a rush. But yeah, the young man was supposed to be taking over Peters on the left side. Peters talking about if he plays left tackle, he wants more. He want to redo his contract. I've never been a Jason Peters fan. I always thought he was overrated in my opinion. And that's just a jerk move right there. They salvage your career once again after you were playing badly, put you on the right side to try to keep you on the squad, and then you're going to say, oh, if I got to play left tackle again, you need to redo my contract. Yeah, you're lucky they're giving you another shot. You're going to pull some crap like that. But, some of these players, that's what it is. Like I said, I've never been a Jason Peters fan, for one, because he's an Eagle, and two, because he's a prick. Miami also traded linebacker Raekwon McMillan to the Las Vegas Raiders. Yes, they are no longer in LA or Oakland. They are now the Las Vegas
Real
Raiders.
quickly, and they don't get fans. So they have this brand new shiny $1 billion stadium, and they can't recoup anything for the first year. That's going to be crazy.
Definitely is. It looked like the Nats just got a solo home run from Michael Taylor in the top of the seventh to make it 6-3.
I have one other Nats news. If we're going to talk Nats for just a second, I wanted to point out that Turner did get on base. He has 2 hits in this game, so he continues that streak as well.
Yeah, Trey Turner, that's my man. Love what he's doing. He, like I said, last year he got like a 26, 27 game hit streak also. So, 5'2" player, solid defensively, putting it together at the plate. What more can you ask for? He's been playing some of the top ball for the team. Hopefully he continues and some of the other guys can pick it up and get this offense going, maybe try to make a run and try to get back in this game and, maybe tie it, force extra innings and maybe still a win, because they definitely had a couple of stole from them last week. I was saying they traded Raekwon McMillan to the Raiders for 2020, traded him and a 5th round pick in 2021 for a 4th round pick in 2021, which I don't understand, but it's the Raiders, it's John Gruden. He got Gruden as his last name, so I already know all logic is thrown out the window when you throw that last name in there. Some Washington football news. Antonio Gibson has been getting quality reps at the backup running back position since Darius Dice is no longer with the team. AP is the incumbent number 1. Gibson, was more of a wide receiver in Memphis, but he ended up playing running back because their running back went down. He had, I believe, 12 touchdowns on 71 touches as a running back in his senior year. He has dynamic speed, game-breaking speed, and you get him in space, and yeah, you're going to have a problem. So the way I see this offense, especially with him, being like the X factor with Chris Thompson now gone, he's going to be more of the 3rd down back. Even though they still have Bryce Love, who's supposedly looking very impressive in camp. I haven't really watched much tape on him because he was injured his senior year. And hasn't played for the Skins, at all because he was recovering from that injury. J.D. McKissick, he's also on the roster, and Peyton Barber. So it's a, loaded backfield already with guys departing that kind of, thin things out. But looks like Gibson is going to be a key part of this running game / passing game because, as I mentioned, he was primarily a wide receiver, but he has great field vision.
So, Carol, I have a question. Does he run some of those wheel routes in the same way that Chris Thompson does? I haven't.
Yeah. You can use him in all those situations. Some of the tape that I watched on him. And he's also a special teams player. I believe he returns if it's either punts or kickoffs. And he's dynamic in that aspect also. But, yeah, he definitely, as I'm talking about Gibson, Trey Turner just hit a solo home run to make it 6-4. I think they might be listening to us in the dugout, Rob.
There we go. Have us on, right?
They might be streaming us live in the dugout, man. We got to give them a little mojo. 6-4, Nats up in the top of the 7th for 1 out. And just another solo home run by Trey Turner, who we just talking about.
But a lot of solo home runs in this game.
Yeah,
so that's great.
See if we can get somebody on base. Juan hit a 2-run home run to get it all started. So we'll see if we can get somebody on base and knock one out. But Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting with the backfield. But yeah, he's definitely can run those wheel routes. If you check out some of his highlights, he he reminds me more of as a not as fast Tyreek Hill, where you put him in space and you throw him a quick screen, a quick bubble screen, and you get blocking. He can take it to the house from anywhere on the field. And the special teams aspect, if you like I say, go check out his highlight reel on YouTube. Like I said, I go check them all out once the team drafts them. I don't really watch college football, but yeah, his highlights is ridiculous. There's a couple of players that they picked up offensively that have that game breaking ability and able to make people miss in space, which is something this team hasn't had a lot of. And to me, that's going to be the imprint of the offense. Is going to be a quick strike, get the ball out your hand, and let your playmakers make plays, which is something that we've always said, but we've never been able to see on the squad because we haven't had playmakers of this caliber. So I think with him getting reps at the running back position, that's definitely going to be interesting. That's definitely an indicator of how they're going to use him in a more Christian McCaffrey like fashion with Scott Turner coming from Carolina, and we've seen how dynamic McCaffrey is. I'm not saying he's going to put up those numbers, but he's definitely has the talent to cause some mismatch issues and some folks to miss and get some much needed yards, yards after contact, and just make this offense better, which is something we've been trying to see for a long time. We've seen glimpses, but we haven't seen on a consistent basis, which is something that we're.
Carol, can I ask you another positional question?
Sure.
So, who
Go
do you
right ahead.
think for the tight end position? Where do you see the Washington football team? Because I know that
Man.
running multiple tight end sets we talked about in the past has been helpful
Yeah,
for
it
them.
definitely is.
Do you see us going? That
The
do we
one
have a
position I
fullback on the
didn't,
roster?
yeah, the one position I didn't really look at this week was the tight end because
Okay.
I remember Moss, Thaddeus Moss, Brandy Moss' son, he got waived on the injury list. I believe he did make it back, clear waivers, so he signed on a injury waiver or whatever. But there's a undrafted tight end that they signed later on. I thought I had all of them listed, but they've been very impressed with him. I cannot think of his name. This was a couple of weeks ago when I read the article, but they've been very impressed with him. And the report that I got from Dugenet about Moss was that his blocking was more impressive. It was more of an injury thing. He had a foot injury that he wasn't able to really get on the field and show what he can do. And there was some reports that the tight end coach didn't really like his attitude or mentality toward his rehab and doing as much as he can do to try to get on the field or try to get as healthy as he could with the injury that he had. So there might be some maturity issues. We heard the same thing about his daddy when he first came out. So he's on the practice squad, injured, whatever. So I believe his season, I'm not even sure where it stands with the season, but the
I
tight
didn't
end.
even know we had an Alabama tight end. Hale, is it Henches? I don't even know we had. I just looked up an article and it was pointing them up. We have Jeremy Sprinkle. It said
Yeah, I know
Thaddeus.
Sprinkle Hinches. Wasn't he there last year? Was that him last year? Oh, that was
Oh,
'cause I got the undrafted rookie somewhere. I just don't know where I
yeah,
had him.
I think that was him. So, but anyway, it'll be
Yeah,
interesting to see. So you said that Thaddeus Moss was no longer. They dropped him, right?
yeah, they waived him due to injury, but I think he cleared waivers and he ended up back on the. They ended up, doing a settlement or whatever for injury, so he'll be. I think that pretty much disqualified him for the rest of the season, but he's still part of the team. So once he finishes his rehab, he'll be able to, study film and do other stuff like that. So he just had to clear waivers and he did. So he's still part of the organization. He's just not going to be active this year, I believe. I don't know if they can come from the preseason injury list, if they can come back from that. I'm not sure. I know they have 2 designations this year, unless they change it up more for the COVID. I'm not sure. I got to look into that. But yeah, the tight end situation is definitely going to be key. But
And the other one was Logan Thomas that I
yeah,
saw
Logan
here.
Thomas he's versatile too. He can play fullback and tight end. But
Oh, good.
you have to remember with Jay Gruden's offense, he was a tight end, heavy. With Scott Turner, he's more of the running back, out of the backfield type of guy. So they had Olsen, but Olsen was older, so he wasn't really the focal point of the offense. So I'm not sure how strong the tight end is going to be in this offense they're running. I know you need a quality blocking tight end, and hopefully Sprinkle is what he was drafted for. Hopefully he can step up in that aspect if he is a starting guy, or of the rookies or whoever they have there, shine on to take over that position. Because you with a young team, with a young quarterback, learning a new offense, definitely have to have solid blocking to get a quarterback time to figure things out with the hiccups of not having preseason and not, getting to know your chemistry of your team going against different opponents. You're going against your defense every day, day in out, so you know the tendencies of what your defensive coach is going to call. They're not going to go all out because you don't want to get injuries and stuff. So that's why preseason is so crucial. So I think we're going to see a lot of, you know, offensive hiccups from a lot of teams in the first, I say, 3 to 4 weeks, and things I feel going to settle down. Defense is going to have the advantage because the defense is more of a read and react, and that's why I feel that I almost said it, the Washington football team.
You did say it earlier, but I didn't bring it up.
Oh,
You
I
said
did.
skin. You said skins, so I
Oh,
let it
okay.
go
At
because
least
you
I didn't
didn't
say the
put.
whole thing. As
You
long as I don't say the
didn't.
whole, we're gonna gotta say the whole name.
You didn't say red, so
All
you didn't say
right,
the
cool,
color of
cool.
this room.
It
You know,
almost
so as long
slipped
as
out. It almost slipped out. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I think that's going to be the Washington football's team to their advantage with the defense. Because if you've if you're not following Chase Young on Instagram, you should, because he's putting up great footage of him in practice. He's blowing up tight ends. He stuffed AP in the backfield on a run play they had. He's out there doing drills, doing everything out there to make himself ready to earn this number 2 pick in this contract, this guaranteed contract that he received. Actually, word that Kerrigan is being more of Ryan Kerrigan is being a mentor to him and Montez Sweat. And who else would you rather have a mentor than the showstopper Ryan Kerrigan with, the number of sacks and the things that he's done. I feel
I'm
like
sad I don't have my Ryan Kerrigan jersey down here right now.
he could have been
let's
so
throw
much
that on.
better. His numbers could have been so much better if they would have, used him in better situations. I've always said this about him. His numbers would be probably, I'm not going to say double, but definitely, you know, better than what they are. He'd have broke more Redskins records because they lined him up on the right side all the time. And when it was him and Arakpo, it was cool because you had somebody from the other side, so he was still legitimately getting some go. But once Arakpo left and we had everybody on that left side, why they never moved him around, or they only moved him around sporadically. With the great pass rushers, you put them all over the place, right side, left side, over the guard, over the center. Because you want to cause confusion. You have folks that's going to be like, oh shit, I got Ryan Kerrigan in the guard, and they got to think about their assignment and what they got to do on that play, and that causes problems. If he doesn't get the sack, it might break up the chemistry of the offensive line, and somebody else get the stuff, or somebody else get the sack. So with Kerrigan, wanting to be a lifelong Redskin, still in the contract.
You said it again.
Ah, damn it! I got into a groove. Damn it! Well, I knew it was coming. I went clean yesterday, so I knew it was only a matter of time.
There you go.
It's definitely going to be interesting.
It's hard when they're drafted by one team name and now their play is another. The whole thing is strange.
Yeah, it's going to take some getting used to. But once we get
we're talking about maybe getting a former Washington football team player on our show in the future, and I don't even know what we tell him because he always played for a team by a certain name.
We'll just say Washington. We'll try to keep it at Washington.
Yeah, it's hard though, right? Because bet. That's not his history, right?
Yeah,
it's not
that's
what
the safe bet. Just got to say Washington. Can't even say. I ain't even gonna say football team. I just say Washington. And hopefully we can keep it going off of that. But it might slip out. But hey, it is what it is.
So I wonder if he would have trouble with that. Just be as a player, you play for a team with a certain name, and how would you not call it that name?
Yeah, you got to get the beat button ready, like beep, beep, beep. He didn't mean to say. But it's definitely going to be interesting with the defense. Y'all know I'm a defensive guy, so I can't wait. On some bad news, not really too bad, but Jonathan Allen, defensive tackle, he limped off the field on Saturday. He had a minor knee injury. They had a knee brace on him. He was still walking around on the sideline, so it doesn't look like it's anything too major. But never like to hear about your stud defensive lineman going down off a knee injury. We gotta give a shout out to Alex Smith again. Like I said, we're not sure how things are going to fall out because Rivera said he has his timetable on making the choice of quarterback and he isn't really revealing it. So he's got cleared for 11-11 drills, and Haskins said he's been being a great mentor to him, which we said we knew he would knew that he already would be, but he's paying off in so many different ways, and just got to say again the courage that this man has, and will to get back after that horrific injury that ended folks' careers before, Joe Theismann, but he's pushing forward, and I guess he's determined to try to get back on the field. I didn't think it would happen, but if it does, as I said, I have no problem eating my words and giving that man much respect for doing what he's done to actually get back on the practice field anyway. You know, almost 2 years removed, and possibly try to get some reps at starting quarterback for the Washington football team. That'd be wild. Um, Also, there's some news about the offensive line. Jerome Christian, you recall he was drafted 3 years ago. Article came out that said that he's doing very well in the in training camp. That he's the leading candidate for the left tackle spot. He actually said that when he first got here, if you recall, Trent Williams was still here. Morgan Moses at the right side. That he didn't have the right mentality as in going, for the position and practicing because he felt like with those two and also had Ty and Tech at the time that he wasn't going to get any playing time, so he really didn't go at the, have the right NFL mindset. But he said he's learned, and they said it's actually showing on the field in his play at left tackle that he looks like he's a legitimate front runner for the left tackle spot. I was thinking of the draft picks of Deke Charles, who the Washington football team drafted this past draft. Was the leading candidate, but they said Christian has come on like gangbusters and unexpectedly. So that's just some Redskins news. And
wait, you said so? All right, but before you stop, because we still have some more news, some breaking. I just got an update. So the NFL is taking over the investigation now into some of these alleged stuff that's happening in this Washington Post article. We posted a little bit of it with Dujanay's breaking news last week on our page. But the Washington Post is a second bombshell report that's come out, talking about the culture of the Washington football team and the ownership. And there's rumors that the owner is trying to get high-paid lawyers to try to get this to go away pretty quickly. But it'll be interesting to see, all the changes that they've done. I did like that they did last week that they canceled their practice at FedEx Field and instead had sensitivity training where they all came together as a community and talked about some of the issues. I thought that was really good. So some good news, some bad news coming out of the park, right?
Something that's actually interesting is Snyder put out an article. That somebody put an article out there said he thinks that the Washington Post is putting a hit job on him. Remember we talked about the whole link with Jeff Bezos, who's coming to the area, and some local politicians have vocally wanted him to let's just say take over the Redskins because they're not huge Daniel Snyder fans, and made some other proclamations about
six times, Carol, 6 times.
Oh man, I'm gonna have. Well, we haven't talked football in a while. I'm gonna have to go practice. I'm gonna have to go practice in the mirror or something, man. It's wild.
I need a counter for that.
Yeah, I don't even have the money to put into the jar this week. I got to give you an IOU, man. But it's definitely going to be interesting with him, coming out and saying it's. I'm not going to say it's a hatchet job. I'm not trying to discount any of these allegations come out, but it's just some of the things that they're trying to link to Snyder when they're saying that in the latest article. We didn't really get into it, but they were saying that Mr. Michael was having some inappropriate videos made of the cheerleaders doing their calendar sessions, and he was telling the guy to make it for Mr. Snyder.
For the executives, right? So that way he's not.
There's that distance between Snyder and Michael where they can say that the plausible deniability, those legal terms, I do have some legal background, not in a good way.
Right, but they've done it for multiple years. It's just not a good look, right? I mean, there's these cheerleaders that they basically told, we'll always airbrush it out. No one will ever see this. This is, cutting room floor, and then they take it and they make these videos and distribute them just to talk about these women. And it's just, it's pretty sickening just because like these, cheerleaders went into it thinking one thing. They signed a contract saying that this is what it's going to be used for. And yes, they didn't distribute it. It's not like they're putting it out like porn or something, but the fact that they would just, put it to just a high five and watch in private board meetings or whatever the executive DVD would be used for, but it's not a good look, right? It's just, they gotta work on it. It's not, I mean, it's not the first time allegations of things like this has happened, and I don't think it's as bad as the Washington Post wants to make it out to be, because I do agree that maybe it is a hit job, but it's also not good either. Like, they're trying to move on as quickly as possible, but they can't run away from their skeletons fast enough.
Yeah, I just got another update. The NFL, taking over the talked
Yeah.
about that last week. So I mean, it's definitely going to come out. If he is, linked to it, if it does have something to do with him, then granted, it is what it is, and then the chips fall where they may. That's the only way that the Heat will pretty much get.
I don't know if that's enough though. Like I think it's horrible, but I'm not sure it's enough.
Well, it's going to come up to the owners because remember the Donald Sterling situation with the NBA. The owners can vote an owner out if they feel like his morals or his
In
his
all sports, I mean, I know
yeah,
NBA is
it's the
different
same. No,
than.
it's the same way NFL. The owners, if they, I believe, if it's a 3/4 margin of the owners agree that the owner needs it because it's like it's in there. It's like a morality clause in there with them being the owner that if they do something that's morally wrong that the other leaders could vote, the other owners, I'm sorry, could vote to have them, lose their team, and then that's when the league could take over and force ownership. And being the fact that the other 40% minority owners are clamoring to try to get him out, and the fact that Daniel Snyder now has a defamation lawsuit going against one of the relatives of the minority owners who said it was the ones that linked him to Epstein and Donald Trump, trying to say that he was in that pedophilia ring or whatever, allegedly, and that's going to court now. So it's getting ugly. And when it comes with money, and you're dealing with billionaires, you're dealing with egos, you're dealing with never lose mentality, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. So who knows where this thing goes? We might need to start doing a web series just based on the halls of the Redskin ownership. This might be a web series worthy of getting a sports Emmy or something, right?
I'm gonna add my counters. But yeah, no. I just want to say this Milwaukee Miami game has been crazy. Miami just hit 2 dagger shots. They're up 111-104. But Jimmy Butler, 36 points tonight, ties career playoff high. He's just on fire. It looks like Miami actually might come away with an upset. A 5 seed beating a 1 seed in the first game here. 58 seconds, still anything can happen. Still 7 points, but it's not looking good for Milwaukee. So it's interesting in that one. And in the baseball game, Philly's got 2 men on. Went from first to third on a double, so they're second and third with 2 outs. So they've been able to get an out since that happened. And we'll see if
Like a
Suero
base
can.
clearing double. Swirl.
Oh
Yeah, Swirl
no!
left one hanging in the corner, and he was able to get it and put it into the left field corner to clear the bases. Nats just put up 2 runs to make it 6-4, and the Phillies just put it 2 more runs back on to give them that 4-run lead back 8 to
I got
4.
excited. I shouldn't have gotten excited.
Yeah,
So
I was hoping you weren't going to say because I was watching. I was like, oh, don't say nothing about it right now. He's trying to get out the jam because it was with no outs with 2 men on, and they was getting through it. And unfortunately, he left one hanging, and he put it into the left corner.
that's what I get for trying to do a scoring update.
Yeah, it's all good, man. I mean, it was an uphill battle off the break, with Fetty giving up those solo home runs off the break, and that trying to claw back into it. It's still bottom of the 7th. Maybe they can make something happen. They just intentionally walked Bryce Harper to first, just because you don't want to give him no ammunition to do anything else. He already had.
It's funny. Bryce Harper now looks a lot like Jason Worth, right? Like it's just funny because it's like they came up together.
Well,
He sort of
that's one
mentored
of the
him.
reasons why he didn't have the so-called Nats love to stay, because once Worth wasn't here, that was his buddy. That was like his role model. Yeah, he learned the game from. So I felt like once Worth wasn't with the team anymore, that loyalty kind of went out the window because he probably.
It's so weird. Worth started in Philadelphia, moved to Washington, and then he trained Bryce to do the opposite. It's kind of what a strange.
Hey, that's how it goes sometimes, man. It's funny like that. But yeah, it's interesting. But I still love the fact that he left, and the year after he left, they won the World Series.
Well, and he guaranteed that he would bring it to Washington with that flub, and he was right.
Hey, man. Yeah, you speak it into existence, man. I'm not even mad at him, but I'm not a Bryce Harper hater. I understand, the ego of a young man that was on Sports Illustrated cover with the age of 16. So you have a different mindset, different psyche, and different things drive you and push you.
No hard feelings anymore. We got
Oh, there were a lot of hard feelings before that run last year.
It was true.
Boy, they probably had voodoo dolls and everything for Bryce Harper, but. With success, like I say, winning cures all. So with the Nationals having,
they've got to win one of the next 10 years, or that's a terrible contract for Bryce, right? I mean, just they paid a lot of money for him.
Mean, hey, it ain't tricking if you got it, man. If you got the money to spend, go ahead and spend it. I don't know if I'd have spent it. that much on him. I mean, he's a quality dynamic player, but we've seen some injuries. His game has matured where he's not running through walls anymore, hurting himself. But we've seen what happened when he gets cold, and we've seen what happens when he gets hot. And that's the one thing about Soto. Like he'll go on a little cold streak for maybe a game or two or three, but you don't see those extended uh, hidden slumps that you would see out of Bryce because of his stance and the way that he's lines up at the plate. Soto has to me a more quality stance and more quality approach at the plate. And look like the Nats get out the inning, thank goodness, without any more runs given up. 8-4, going
Dang.
to the
I just wish they could have just gotten out of it 6-4.
Swirl. Yeah, sometimes Swirl he leaves some hanging. Sometimes it was on the corner, but he left it hanging enough for
It was
him.
like as I was talking, I saw the pitch that he was leaving. I was like, "This
Yeah,
isn't going well." And
no doubt, no
but
doubt. So we end up going back in the Nats talk after football talk. But yeah, the Nats, hopefully they can get it together. This week is going to be pivotal. If they can get a winning week out of this week and defeat
let's
these,
go 8-0, right? If we go 8-0, who knows what happens, right?
if they can pull
Let's
that
set the
off,
bar
then,
real high.
yeah, if they can
Come
pull
back
that off, then it's a whole
here.
new ball game. Because they 6 games out of first, I'd have put them probably in like second place right there.
Right, yeah. So come back in this game and then win 7 more in a row. It's a small ask.
Down four. We saw last year they came back from as many as 6 down in the final at bat. So I mean, it's possible, but they gotta get his pitching together. Got to get his pitching together. That's the key. Until they
For
do that,
sure.
everything else doesn't going to mean anything. They can put as many runs as they want, but they keep on giving up home runs and giving up runs after they put up runs. It's not going to turn out well.
All right. Well, let's. So next week we'll probably preview a little bit of that first game of the season because the Eagles versus the Washington football team will be the following Sunday after that. Are you still doing post game live shows? Are you doing it from home? Have you talked to anybody about that?
I'm going to have to contact Martinez again. We spoke a couple of months ago. I believe they were open back up, but they weren't, let's say, necessarily following the guidelines. And I heard they might be shut back down. So I'm going to have to reach out and see. Definitely we're doing pregame and postgame if it's here live from the lab or if it's from down Martinez. We're definitely still going to be doing it. And now with the Zoom, if you have time, either you can come on or I can try to get Dujanet on. I believe he has Zoom also. So we can add a whole new dynamic. We were doing it live last year, but we're using the Zoom now, so we can still do it again this year. We'll have I have the graphics up, and if Robbie feel like doing a producer feed, he can do that, or we just do it a straight feed from mine. Depends on how it breaks down, but yeah, we got a couple of weeks to figure it out. So stay tuned. Definitely going to still have the pregame and postgame shows.
For sure. I just want to put that out there. And so next week we'll preview that first Eagles game. We'll talk about how this NBA playoffs. Just so you know, Miami did take that game one. So both series starting off interesting with the lower seeds winning game one in the East. The West hasn't even had their playoff matchups decided. We'll obviously break it down a little bit. I don't know if we'll have the full roundtable. We have to still discuss that for next week, but I'm sure we'll break it down a little bit, talk about the Eastern and Western Conference Finals in the hockey world. We'll have 8 games to break down in baseball. We'll have that football game and more. In the end, was there any quick Mystics things? I know that the DC United lost their game, so I don't have a lot to break down on that one. Anything? Was there anything positive of the Mystics week?
Unfortunately, no. We'll probably do a Mystics wrap up next week. They're still not playing too well. And I can see a lot of folks, a couple of players opted out, a couple of injuries, and other teams have just been dominating the Mystics lately. I looked at the game yesterday; we're down 20 points in the second period. So, yeah, it wasn't a good look. I think they came back and lost by like 9, but they were down big in the second quarter.
Yeah, DC United lost 4-1, if anyone was interested, to Philadelphia Union in that one. So that's kind of a bit of a brutal game. The next game is actually against Brian's team, the New York Red Bulls. That's on Wednesday. It's a 7:30 game. And then I think, is that the only game this week? Hold on. And then, yeah, so the next game is Sunday, September 6th. That's the New York City FC game. So they play both New York teams. And then they play the Red Bulls again on Saturday, September 12th. So 3 New York battles in a row for DC United, who's 1-3-4. But if they can string a couple wins together, it's a pretty even logjam in the middle of that bracket. So they could make a run for it in the MLS. And the Houston OKC game is just starting now. If anybody wants to watch something after this live podcast, that'll be an interesting matchup to see if OKC can tie the series or if Houston comes away with the series win tonight. Well, I think that's all I've got. Anything else from you before we go?
Before we get out of here, as always, got to shout out Eric Kusa. You see, be checking out the Sports OTHP apparel line, new shirts. Hit me up. You can inbox me on Facebook, on Instagram. My email's up on the page. Hit me up. You want to cop yours? You know, shipping and handling, $20, $25 at the most for the large, for the extra large, and triple X. So hit me up. Got to shout out Eric Kusa. Shout out to 151 at the Bar Radio. We'll be going live. Most of this week he's on vacation, so you know how he do when he on vacation. He does show after show after show. So you might see me on there. I also have a possible appearance on another show. I'm not even going to get into that right now. Make sure you check out SportsOTHP.com for the latest episodes, apparel line links, Power Play Point podcast, blogs for Dujanay. We just got so much going on, so make sure y'all check us out. DC Sports About the Politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. We do it well. Many can copy us, but none can duplicate us. CP3, live from the lab.